Hey everyone, this is Molly and welcome to the next video in the Twin Flames Healing Journey teaching series. We are at video 18 and I'm going to talk about separation and what that means, what it's about, and the purpose that it serves. Everything serves a purpose and we don't always feel that way, we don't always see it from that way, but it truly does, especially in the long run and also in hindsight. And so we're going to talk about why there is a separation period. It does not matter if it is a month, a year, many years. It doesn't matter the time. It's about, what happens during that time that is what matters and is what counts. Now, if you are brand new to this series, please know that there are many more videos here that give you more information to help you understand the energetic experience. And it's important to know that the twin flame connection is energetic, it's intuitive, it's spiritual. And so that right there is a whole different way of connecting with somebody than in our everyday physical world. So we have different connections in this experience, and it's important to see how the separation time doesn't separate the connection. It can be on pause. It can be maybe out of touch, if you will. It can feel more distant, but it's never truly shut off or shut down because this is an experience that is so much bigger than most types of relationships or most types of connections. It is a connection through God. It is a connection through spirit, through source. And so that never truly turns off. So again, you can hit the pause button, and that is partly why the separation occurs. Now, separation serves an important purpose, which is it is a time of healing. It is a time of growing. It is a time of learning. And it can happen that one person naturally moves faster, that they understand things differently. They have a different level of maturity about some areas of their life. This is not about someone being better than or lesser than. It's about how their life experiences unfolded, what they understood, what they were studying. It could be that another person did not have those same experiences or understandings yet. The twin flames are always about mirroring each other and needing to be equals, energetic equals, spiritual equals. And so there is like this, it's a leveling of energies when the separation happens. And so if you can look at it from that detached perspective, it will help with any of the emotional pain or turmoil that can come up. The healing purpose is meant to benefit everyone involved. Everyone involved. And when you see it from that understanding, you can understand too that it really is beautiful in that if many people can heal, then that truly is for the best and highest good. Now, healing takes many forms, and each person has a different way that they need to heal. They can need to heal perhaps energetically, spiritually, physically. Healing happens in all areas of our life. It could even be argued that healing happens throughout our whole life, that we're always healing something, be it on various levels of our experiences or beings. So the separation is because there is a need for time to heal. Now, that doesn't mean that the time is spent consciously healing. Think, for example, about how if you planned to go to the gym every day for an hour, you go to the gym, well, what you do during that hour is up to you. You could be on the treadmill, you could be doing weights, you could do certain things at the gym, or you could just go hang out in the hot tub for an hour. So it isn't about the time because it's how you spend that time. It's what you do during that time that matters. And it's understanding that some people take longer to understand what they need to heal. Now, in this situation, it's typically the male who takes longer. And that's because a lot of masculine energy is very mental. It's very much about the physical world. Logic and finances and what is practical and what is secure. And please know that as I speak about these energies, I am not meaning to speak about gender, because you could be a divine masculine in a feminine body and vice versa. You could be a divine feminine in a masculine body. This is understanding the energetics of it, and that it's really up to you to determine what fits with you. But masculine energy tends to be very grounded. And in order for masculine energy to grow, it typically has to go through experiences in the physical world that are the lessons and the teaching and the healing. And because the physical world moves slower than the spiritual energetic world, it can be a longer first person experience of a lesson or an experience. So this is something that has been quite normal for many of you that I've connected with, because you can see it or you can feel it, and or what the healing needs to be. And it's almost like you get that visual of, if you would just go this way, it would help you. Or if you would just take this step or go in this direction. That's what the divine feminine would be saying. It's like, if you just do this, it's going to help you move forward and heal this. But the divine masculine energy can plod along step by step, be way too stuck in the head, which creates this self-imposed cage that maybe overthinks, overanalyzes. It looks for proof. It looks for what's the sure solution. Where can I minimize risk and maybe have the most positive outcome? And it gets too analytical. And part of this experience is for that energy to drop down into the heart, into the trusting of it, into where the energy feels like, just do it, like that leap of faith, right? That is actually a beautiful way to move it forward, is that leap of faith that not everything can be solved analytically or through details or through logic. And that's so much of what the divine masculine is opening up to in himself. Is I actually feel it as a part of him that's always been there, but it was shut down either through early childhood conditioning, family beliefs, just even survival in the real world and what was necessary to live and how to live. Is that, part of like being a man is that you demonstrate certain qualities, and intuition is not one of them that's valued. But that's changing. Like, that's changing globally for men, for those who identify in the divine masculine energies. That's changing, because that's what you're opening up to, is that, oh yeah, I have that ability too. And there are some men who are already aware of that and in tune with that. And it's meant to be embraced as one of your gifts. And there are some amazingly intuitive men that you might not know that that's even one of their gifts, but they incorporate it and they use it in their life as a tool, as an asset. So it's a beautiful time right now for the divine masculine energy to embrace that in themselves and to trust that, and to not get stuck in the logic or the mental space, because that's what is holding you back. It's trying to keep you safe. But with this connection, you're about expanding, you're about growing. So then part of the healing is for the divine masculine energy to continually trust that he can believe these parts of himself and know that they're valuable. And so during the separation period, the healing for both twins is in looking at where they are out of balance. Now, the divine feminine energy, she can feel like she hasn't been grounded, or that she is not practical, or she doesn't, maybe she has financial issues, or she's had something with her career, or she's had things with her body, or something in the physical world that she's needed support with. And that's where she is stepping into more of her own divine masculine energies to amplify that, so that you can feel strong in these parts of your world. And so you can feel in control of your finances. You can feel strong in your body. You can embrace whatever you perhaps felt was weak within you. So there's always healing going on. And it's because both individuals are embracing their yin and their yang, the anima and the animus. And it's knowing that all of that is what makes you whole. And all of these are your tools and your gifts, and that you don't want to shut them down. So that's part of the separation, is stepping into that energy within yourself first, because you do need to be balanced within, and that will make you a better individual in any relationship and in all relationships. In fact, it's not, it's about showing up as 100% of yourself in every relationship in your life, and being with people who respect that in you and who see that in you. So twin flames can go through a lot of different types of healings. And that includes, most importantly, healing within themselves, where there were weaknesses, where there were parts of themselves that they weren't embracing, where there were parts of themselves where they didn't feel powerful. They're then understanding that that's what they are healing within, and that's going to help them be fuller in their life and also in any and every relationship and partnership. The healing is also really important at a deep energetic level. And what happens though is, before the healing happens, is there's deep pain. And the pain can have many layers. For me personally, it felt like 7 layers of pain. And it was not even something that I understood at the time, but it was so deep. And it's because there's so many parts of it that can be understood in hindsight, like different layers of those fears. And so for yourself, perhaps you don't feel 7 layers, maybe it's 3 or 5, whatever it is for you. But it brings up these parts of you that need to be healed. And these are the hardest wounds to move through. They require support. They require emotional release. They require work and time. It's like the big stuff that gets triggered in you. And it's about knowing that you wouldn't feel this pain, or you wouldn't have these layers, unless you also would be healed. And it's funny, because when I realized it was 7 layers of pain, I thought, well, isn't there also like 7 gates of hell? Isn't that also what they say? So I'm like, oh, well, that lines up. Because it's the deepest stuff, and it could be through so many different lifetimes. It could be hidden themes in your life. It could be all these different factors that all come up at once. And that's why it's so intense, because it's all this stuff, and you could try to figure it out mentally and it won't make sense, or you'll try to rationalize it and you won't get a solution. So it requires a lot of deep healing that I think is actually deeper than most people. And so the twin flames can feel ostracized. They can feel like no one understands me. They don't understand my pain. They don't know what I'm going through, because it's much, much deeper than just, say, you broke up with somebody, or you, whatever it might be that caused the separation. It could be so much deeper than other people realize. I mean, they could say, well, just move on, or just do this, or someone else will come around, or don't worry about it, you'll get through this. But you feel it in a much deeper way. And so the separation helps you heal that. Ultimately, that's what it's for. And it's really important to do that part of it for yourself. That's on you. It really is. Nobody else can do that for you. And again, it's like going to the gym. Well, you could hang out in the hot tub for an hour. Sure, we all have those days and those times when we don't want to work. But then you do have to get back on that treadmill and go do the weights for an hour the next day. So it requires work. It requires that you do something to move the pain, to move the anger, to move the emotions, to move whatever it is for you, because that is your responsibility. No one else can do it for you. And it's also where your greatest power lies. So it's embracing the fact that this is ultimately leading you to even more power that you are going to embody. And it's going to be a really big part of your new sense of self and what you create next in relationships and with people around you. So it can feel like these dark nights of the soul. It can be, again, something that other people don't understand, but they don't need to. You don't need their permission. You don't need anything from anybody. You don't need them to validate it, because you'll figure it out. And I believe that so strongly. There's so many tools and resources these days to help with these deep feelings. And in fact, it's more common than ever to even talk about them or reach out about them, or simply Googling them and finding any types of information that you need. Now, because there is so much pain involved, there can also be this understanding that some things need to play out in the physical world, and it's typically karma. And it's typically something unfinished that has to get cleared out of a system, okay? Like it has to get flushed out. It has to be revealed. It has to be exposed. It has to be seen. And so one thing that shows up is that because, again, the people move on different timelines, right? And as I said, a lot of the masculine energy moves slower. And so the feminine energy has to honor herself, honor what she needs, honor what she wants, and honor her path. And she has to keep moving forward. And so that is really important, that you understand, again, that the power is within you to heal this. And once you heal it, once you heal that pain, you then attract to you that person who is also healed. And they mirror back to you your own self-confidence, self-worth, self-love, self-value, all these beautiful things, because you went through that healing cycle in yourself. And that happens on its own timeline for each person. And so this is where the journeys become quite varied, because it does depend on what you need to heal, how you heal it, what fits your style or your mode of progress, if you will. But it also brings in these other lessons that you need to learn. And that's why the karma needs to play out. Now, this can happen on either for the divine feminine or the divine masculine. The current cycle is that a lot of divine masculines move through the karma because they're the slower moving of the two. They're the ones that go through the karma. So that means they have to fully experience something in their own life in order to really get it, to understand what the lesson is, to understand what they have to change. And it's only by experiencing it that they really see it. In other words, there's times when you can learn something intellectually, you can learn something intuitively or spiritually, right? And you're like, okay, I've got it. I don't have to learn that in the physical world because I understand how to change right now. Well, the masculine energy isn't always like that. It doesn't just learn it. It has to physically experience it or move through it, and then it learns it. And then it changes drastically because it went through this experience that was painful, that was difficult, that was hurtful, that got to the core of what needed to be healed and changed. So there's different timelines for each person, and the separation allows those individuals to heal in the ways that's best for them. And because this is a spiritual connection, the connection that they feel doesn't go away, but we are here in the physical world. So this is where we live, right? And this is the playground. So you have to honor that each person moves through something in a different timeline. Now, because there is a mirroring effect of energies, what typically happens is that if the twin flames were ever in person, okay, because I know that some of you have different scenarios where you weren't in person, or you have not met yet. There's all these different situations that play out with this connection. But for those who have been in person and they separated, for whatever reason that you separated, it's typically the same situation plays out in reverse. So that means that if the divine feminine was rejected for a certain reason, then the divine masculine gets rejected for a similar reason. Or if something happens to the divine feminine, then the same thing will happen to the divine masculine, because there's like this progression that happens where they're both basically learning the same things, but on different timelines. So then the divine masculine experiences something similar to what the divine feminine experienced. And this is where that third party comes in, the karmic individual and or the soulmate. And this is also where it varies for you. So just take whatever resonates. But if, for example, the karmic partner comes in, which is where there's unfinished energy, then she would treat him in the same way that he treated the divine feminine, meaning she would then perhaps reject him or choose someone else, or there'd be secrets. There'd be other things that would play out. And just as a situational, anecdotal example, it could be that the karmic partner stabs him in the back, but because they got connected through very materialistic means, ego, very lower energies, then that's where he would feel the pain. So then he would have a financial loss. He would experience some kind of blow to his ego, or it would be something that would basically hurt him where that connection initially formed. So if he was partnered with somebody who was very superficial, materialistic, and very into finances, or looking right and maintaining a certain social status and wanting to have a certain image, then she would do something to take his money, or there would be some kind of money lost for him, so that he could see that he doesn't really want a relationship based in materialism or money, that he wants something more than that. And then that experience helps him grow up. Like, I get the image of the energy moves up, because then he sees how he was also materialistic in the same way. And he doesn't want to relate to somebody on that level going forward. He wants more. And the karmic partner could then have she could cheat on him. She could have somebody on the side. If they're going through a divorce, that could be a big deal. And she could want to maintain a certain standard of living and not want to sign divorce papers. Like, she could push back, right? And be like, well, no, I want the money. I don't want you to let me go. So all that stuff can play out, because that's where they form their connection, is in the finances or in the materialism. So he learns the lesson through something in the physical world that makes it so clear to him that he's ready to change. Okay? So that's just one example. It can be different if there's children involved. It can be different if they're not married. It can be different if they only dated for a little bit and then something happens and she chooses somebody else. It's like the karmic partner is actually meant to help him move forward. And the karmic partner is also meant to move forward. Now remember, everyone involved can heal. That's what this is. There's love everywhere. Like, this is a benevolent universe. Everyone can heal and move forward, but it's free will. And you have to have the interest, and you have to have the desire to change. And not everyone has the desire to change. But it's important to understand that the karmic relationship is meant to be a trigger, okay, that moves things forward. That moves it forward for everyone involved in the best and highest possible way. Now, a soulmate relationship is a little different, because it can also be a breakup, but it can feel sad. It can feel heartbreak. But again, it's that sense that, well, I want more. There wasn't enough in this relationship. There wasn't enough of a connection for the divine masculine, and he wants more. And that's what he's looking for. And that's why he knows the relationship has to end, because there wasn't enough that met all of his own energy needs. So it's meant to heal everybody, and it doesn't feel that way. The thing to keep in mind is that even during separation, there's still this spiritual connection. And it's like you can feel it as the spiritual husband or the spiritual wife. Like, it just has this spiritual partnership that is very pure and bright and always there. So think about like a white globe that's always lit up, and it's always alive, and it's always there. It's always present, even when there's separation in the physical world. It's hard in the physical world to not have validation of it, but you have to understand that this has always been bigger than this physical world, and you have to keep trusting that. It's important, again, to take responsibility for what you need to heal, and that you must keep going forward with your own mission work, your own purpose, your own drive, your own life. Because of the fact that that's how the energy keeps moving forward. And as you keep moving forward into that, you will also support the other, and it will help the love connection that's always there. The love is always there because, again, it's a spiritual partnership. And you'll feel it. You always feel it. And you'll get messages, and you'll feel it through a song on the radio or through a billboard or through something. You'll just be like, oh, I know what that is. Like, I can feel that that's a message. So you keep doing your own inner work with this stuff, and you keep trusting that connection is present, and you keep living your physical life, whatever that might be for you right now, whatever that reality is. It's really important to know that this journey has so many forms that it takes, and that once you know that connection's there, it's really good for you on many levels. Now, in the next video, I'm going to talk about the reunion energies, what that looks like, what that means. That can be reunion in physical, reunion in spirit. It plays out in a few different ways, but it's a really strong reconnection that is meant to benefit both of you. So I'll be sharing that video soon. That will be video 19. I know that some of you have different situations where you are already partnered with somebody else, you're dating somebody else, you're married to somebody else. You must continue on your life path. You do not have control. I mean, we never do, about how everything plays out, but understand that it is meant to benefit everyone involved, and that there is love for everyone. And that includes if you're married, that includes if you're partnered with someone else, that includes the children, okay? This isn't like a game where only some people benefit. It's ultimately an experience that benefits everyone. And even when you can't see it or you can't feel it, it's always there supporting you. So I hope this has given you more comfort around separation, because that can be the hardest thing to move through, because your mind is looking for validation and comfort and facts. But please know that you have to go into the intuitive spiritual connection, and you'll always feel that energy no matter where you are, no matter what you're experiencing in your life. It's always there. So keep doing your work. Yes, you can hang out in the hot tub sometimes. We all need that. But then understand that this is about igniting more love on the planet. This is about being a bigger version of love that the planet needs, humanity needs. And that's what will also strengthen you, is when you remember that this is about more love and bigger love. And that includes the world. So I hope this has given you some good things to think about. And I will see you back here for the next video very soon. Thank you.